Hello everyone, how are you all doing? I hope you all are doing well. There was a little bit of a delay between publishing my previous episode and this episode, and it took me some time to record this episode, and it's because of the extremely hot weather that we have right now in Wisconsin. I was feeling a little bit dehydrated, and so what I had to do was to get some rest, but at the same time, I was keeping track of all the news updates, especially the news updates about the migrant crisis in Chicago and New York. So I hope you understand why there was a little bit of a delay, but I'm back and I'm happy to be recording this episode. And one thing I want to mention before I go into discussing the subject of this episode, and that is, I always appreciate getting comments from my listeners. If you are listening to my podcast episode, please send me your comments. Let me know your thoughts, your views, and whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, just let me know what you think. Share with me your opinions, and it's great to see that people are sending me comments. And so I always appreciate that. And you can also go to my website, tawsifanam.net, and send me a message. Also, I want to mention that I do have an e-newsletter that I send out to hundreds of people. And so if you want to receive my free e-newsletter, which I try to send out once a week, but sometimes because of my busy life, I may end up sending it once every 10 days or once every 2 weeks. But I try to send out free weekly e-newsletters. So if you want to sign up for my e-newsletter, you can go to my website, tawsifanam.net, and on the front page, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see a location where you can type in your email address and you can sign up for my newsletter. So go to tawsifanam.net and check it out. And if you sign up for my free e-newsletter, you can get more updates from me. So having said that, let me go into this episode. What I want to discuss is the migrant situation in Chicago. Many migrants are now at Richard Daley College in Chicago. Reportedly, the migrants started moving to campus on Saturday, which was yesterday. So first of all, it was Wilbur Wright College in Chicago, where migrants are being housed, and now it's Daley College. And, if you ask me, I guess the Chicago leaders may come up with another college. They may come up with the name of a third college to move the migrants for housing. I mean, who knows, right? If the Chicago leaders decided to house migrants at Wilbur Wright College and then at Daley College, then what guarantee is there that they won't house migrants at a third college location? It seems that college campuses are now becoming the new home for asylum seekers. And when will this stop? When will this crisis stop? Our southern border is not secure. People are pouring into the country. We are seeing a massive influx of migrants, of foreign nationals from other countries, and they are pouring into the United States looking for shelter. And they are ending up in places like Chicago and New York City because both the cities are sanctuary cities. And so if migrants keep crossing the southern border and entering the United States, there will likely be more and more people coming to Chicago, and more resources will be drained out of the pockets of taxpayers. Taxpayers are having to pay for the services that these migrants are getting. Housing, food, whatever the migrants are getting, taxpayers are having to pay for this, American taxpayers. And so Chicago politicians may decide to house migrants at more and more college campuses. It may happen. It is possible, because if it's happening at Wilbur Wright College and now at Daley College, people may see the same situation at other college campuses. Which college would be the next one to house migrants? If you have any thoughts or comments on this, please let me know. In New York, it's not just in Chicago, in New York, there are conversations that migrants may be housed on college campuses. So you see that left-wing politicians, they think alike. In Chicago and New York, the left-wing liberal politicians are using the same formula. They're all trying to push more and more migrants towards college campuses. And this whole idea is that this is what people are being told. People are being told in Chicago that the migrants are being housed at Wilbur Wright College and at Daley College on a temporary basis, that this housing arrangement is only for the summer and that this is not long-term, this is not permanent. But is there any guarantee? Is there any guarantee that these migrants will leave the campuses when summer is over? What happens when the fall semester starts? What if the government continues to keep these migrants on college campuses? Where will the students go in that case? Liberal politicians gave New York City and Chicago the title of sanctuary cities. They wanted migrants to show up in Chicago. They wanted migrants to appear and seek sanctuary. And that's why they gave Chicago the title of a sanctuary city. And now the migrants have arrived. So, but why are American taxpayers suffering? Why are American taxpayers having to pay for the services that these migrants are getting? Why should American taxpayers pay for housing for foreign nationals who came into the country by crossing the border? It's time for the people of New York and the people of Chicago to really examine their choices. Ask yourself, if you live in New York City, if you live in the city of Chicago, ask yourself, who did you vote for in the election? Perhaps it's time to not vote for liberal candidates. It's time to vote for candidates who are wise, who are intelligent, and who are not liberal. The people of New York City and Chicago voted for these left-wing politicians, and now these local leaders are spending taxpayer dollars on migrants. The liberal politicians of Chicago are prioritizing migrants over American citizens. If you voted for a liberal candidate for Chicago City Council, and the candidate who you voted for got elected, and then that elected official voted to spend 51 million taxpayer dollars on migrants, then perhaps it's time to think about voting for a conservative candidate, a candidate who cares about American citizens. 34 city council members in Chicago voted in favor of taking $51 million from the pockets of American taxpayers to spend the money on migrants. And there are many Americans who are hungry, there are many Americans who are homeless, there are many Americans who need medical services. But guess where the taxpayer dollars are going? The money is going to foreign nationals who walked across the border to come to the United States. So people of Chicago, let me ask you, do you think that there will be a third college that Chicago politicians will look at to house migrants? First, Wilbur Wright College, then Richard Daley College. Will there be a third college where migrants will appear? Share with me your thoughts. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Once again, I encourage you to visit my website, tawsifanam.net. Sign up for my free weekly e-newsletter. And thanks for listening to my podcast. Share with me your thoughts. And I hope to be back again with a new episode very soon.